Welcome back to the 1189 Bible Wisdom Journey. Today, we're jumping right into Leviticus Chapter 25 for this explainer, and I gotta tell you, it contains an idea so radical, it might just completely rewire how you view success. Seriously, think about it. We spend so much of our lives trying to accumulate, right? More money, more security, just more. Our modern world is constantly whispering, or, well, shouting, at us to build bigger, gather more, and never, ever let go. But this chapter, it introduces a deeply counterintuitive premise. What if success isn't actually about what you can stockpile? What if true wealth is found in your capacity to let things go, to actually rest, and to set things free? So here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the ultimate economic reset, the Year of Jubilee, our 5 layers of meaning, 10 wisdom treasures, life application, and finally, where our journey goes next. All right, part 1, the ultimate economic reset, disrupting the cycle of striving. We're starting in Leviticus 25, with what is arguably one of the most remarkable economic systems in the entire Bible. I mean, imagine pitching this to a modern CEO today, a society commanded by law to just stop striving. The text outlines 2 distinct rhythms of release. First, a Sabbath for the land every 7 years, and second, a massive structural reset every 50 years. Think about the incredible faith that required. For an agricultural society to just stop planting every 7th year, they had to completely trust that God's provision in the 6th year would carry them through. And then, after 49 years, the 50th year was a nationwide reset. Ancestral land was returned, indentured servants were freed, and that crushing cycle of generational poverty was deliberately interrupted.
Moving to part 2, the Year of Jubilee. Stewards, not owners.
This ancient reset shifts the focus entirely away from absolute human ownership. We all love to think we own our achievements, don't we? But Jubilee forces a very different perspective. During Jubilee, which, by the way, was initiated by the blast of a loud trumpet right on the Day of Atonement, no poverty or setback was allowed to have the final word. Notice that timing. The very day the nation's spiritual debts to God were cleared, their financial and societal debts to one another were cleared too. It was like a tangible, nationwide sigh of relief. Lost your land? You got it back. Sold your labor to survive? You were officially freed.
And this brilliant quote forms the absolute moral foundation of the entire chapter. It's a stark reminder to the people that they are merely stewards passing through, not ultimate owners. God essentially tells Israel, look, you cannot permanently sell this land because it's not actually yours to sell. You are my guests, you're strangers and sojourners with me. When we realize that everything we have, our time, our talents, our finances, is just on loan to us, it completely changes how tightly we grip our possessions.
Let's look at part 3, 5 layers of meaning, the 1189 framework.
To truly grasp the depth of this text, we have to look beneath those ancient farming laws using our multi-layered lens. Just like we always do by looking at the literal, allegorical, moral, and anagogical perspectives, we can extract a culminating wisdom layer that applies directly to our lives right now. So, looking at our layers, it's amazing how a literal instruction about resting a vineyard transforms into a timeless principle about letting go of our need to control everything. Literally, God builds a physical pause button into Israel's economy. Allegorically, this shows us that human beings aren't machines. We desperately need regular resets to break free from burnout, shame, and broken dreams. Morally, it demands that we value human dignity way over financial profit. Anagogically, it points to the ultimate story of God restoring a broken world. And finally, that wisdom layer teaches us that clinging to control is basically a prison, and real freedom is found in trust and release. When we put our modern anxieties side by side with this ancient wisdom, it's pretty eye-opening. We see that sometimes growth comes not by gaining more, but by loosening our grip. Think about it. Our culture absolutely praises the hustle. We keep score by looking at bank accounts and job titles. But Leviticus 25, it offers a jarring, beautiful alternative. It celebrates the release. It literally mandates rest. It tells us that the healthiest societies are actually the ones that know how to forgive a debt and offer a clean slate.
Moving to part 4, 10 wisdom treasures, distilling the insights.
From this incredibly rich text, we mined 10 distinct wisdom treasures. But let's just focus on a few crucial ones here. The big takeaway is that healthy communities and healthy individuals must learn when to rest, forgive, and start again. Just look at that first point.
everyone deserves the opportunity for a fresh start. No failure was ever meant to be permanent in God's economy. And look at the last one. True wealth is measured by what you help restore. Imagine measuring your success this year not by your bank account, but by the hope you helped restore in someone else. Now that is a game changer.
This brings us to Part 5, Life Application and Wisdom, the Power of Letting Go. You see, Leviticus 25 isn't just some outdated desert economics class, it's a mirror held right up to our own modern exhaustion. So I invite you to take a second and really ask yourself, what do you need to release? Are you treating your possessions as gifts to steward or as things to frantically cling to? Are you maybe holding on to a grudge that needs to be let go in your own personal year of Jubilee? Or are you pushing yourself to the absolute limit without any rhythm of rest? Because here is the core wisdom of chapter 25. Lasting success is not found in endless accumulation, but in creating freedom and leaving people better than we found them. Life flourishes, it truly blooms, when we stop trying to force every single outcome and start trusting that God's provision is greater than our frantic need to control.
Finally, Part 6, The Journey Continues, 1189 Bible Wisdom.
We are systematically working our way through the profound depths of Scripture in this Explainer series, taking it one chapter, 5 lenses, and one wisdom at a time. With Genesis and Exodus complete, we have now reached chapter 25 of Leviticus. That makes exactly 115 chapters uncovered together, and honestly, it is incredible to see how these ancient texts continue to build this compounding masterclass on human nature and divine wisdom.
So, 115 down. That leaves 1,074 chapters still to explore, and I am absolutely thrilled to continue this epic journey of discovery with you. We are leaving no stone unturned, from Genesis to Revelation. The adventure is only just beginning. I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on as you step back out into the world. If Jubilee is all about God clearing the slate for His people, who in your life needs you to clear the slate for them today? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you in the next chapter.